Do you do DeFi? Well, if you do, then you probably know that there are a hell of a lot of decentralized exchanges, or DEXs, on the market. Uniswap, Sushiswap, Kyberswap, Curve, Swerve, the list goes on. With all of these options to swap your ERC20 tokens, it can no doubt be quite laborious to find the best rates at the right time. So wouldn't it be great if there was a protocol that could do this automatically for you? One that not only saved you time, but also those gas fees. Well, there is, and it's called 1inch. I'm Guy, and in this video I'm going to give you everything you need to know about this project. Not only that, but I'll also be covering that recent 1inch airdrop and what value the 1inch tokens have, if any. Oh, and I'll also be showing you how you can earn some of those remaining 1inch tokens, so be sure to stick around. Before we DeFi, allow me to digress. Firstly, I must stress that everything you're about to see in this video is for educational purposes. I'm a crypto guy, not a financial dude, so none of this is meant to be financial or investment advice. Secondly, I'd like to formally welcome anyone new to the channel. In case you missed it, my name is Guy, and it's my mission to bring the wonderful world of crypto to your computer screen. News, reviews, DeFi deep dives, and other juicy content. If that sounds like something that you'd like to avail yourself of, then acquaint yourself with that subscribe button. Ping that bell as well to make sure that you don't miss a market beat. One more thing, if you look in the timeline right over here, you'll notice that I've split it up into sections. Those are there for you to jump around to the sections that you find the most appealing should you be strapped for time. Alrighty folks, let's open this up. So, what is 1inch? Well, it's 2.5 centimeters. But in DeFi, it goes miles. Quite simply, 1inch is a DEX aggregator and automated market maker. Let's break those terms down a bit more. On the DEX aggregator side, 1inch Exchange uses an advanced algorithm which searches over 33 different liquidity protocols in order to discover the most efficient swap route for your order. One which makes the most efficient trade based on a number of different variables like price, liquidity, slippage, etc. Then you have that automated market maker, or AMM, protocol. This was initially launched as Mooniswap and operates much like the other AMM protocols you've come to know, Uniswap, Sushiswap, etc. However, the 1inch AMM has some unique features that improve its efficiency over some of the other AMMs, something I'll cover in a bit. Like many other DeFi protocols, 1inch emerged from an ETH Dev conference. This time it was at the ETH Global Hackathon back in 2019. It was founded by Sergey Kunz, an ex-Porsche software engineer, and Anton Bukov, a smart contract dev on the Near protocol. If you want a bit of background on the project, then I encourage you to take a look at Sergey's YouTube channel, Cryptomaniacs. In the past, he's used it in order to do live smart contract audits. In one of those live stream audits, he was introduced to Anton and they hit it off immediately. The rest, as they say, is history. They seem to have bootstrapped 1inch, as there does not appear to be any sort of funding history for the project. On his channel, you can see them showcasing the initial iterations of 1inch early last year. Of course, what started as a simple aggregator was completely swept up by the DeFi explosion that we saw in 2020. All of this obviously meant that the team got on the radar of all the VC firms that were dying to get their share of the DeFi mania. In August of 2020, they completed a seed round from Binance Labs of about $2.8 million. Then, in early December 2020, they managed to close a much larger $12 million funding round that was led by Pantera Capital. Those early VC backers were no doubt licking their lips at the prospect of being first in line for potential governance tokens. Of course, if you're watching this video, then you probably know that this is something that recently happened. In much the same way as Uniswap did, 1inch has airdropped some of their 1inch governance tokens to those in the 1inch community. Gotta love free crypto. But we'll get onto this in a bit. I want to talk now a bit more about the DEX aggregation feature. This aggregation algorithm was, of course, the first piece of kit built by the 1inch team. Fun fact, they called it 1inch in tribute to the legendary Bruce Lee 1inch punch. This punch was said to be so effective that it could literally floor his opponent. This is what the 1inch team wanted to do with their exchange. Basically, they wanted to develop an algorithm that was able to execute crypto swaps as quickly and efficiently as possible. At the most simple level, 1inch Exchange is a dApp that's built on the Ethereum network. It uses smart contract technology to source liquidity from a number of different DEX protocols. These include the likes of Uniswap, Kyber, Bancor, and 0x Relayers, among others. The smart contracts are programmed to find the best order routes for the swap that you want to carry out. They're also able to split the transaction into smaller transactions in order to find the best route. This is called Pathfinder and was one of the releases included in their version 2 upgrade. To best understand how it works though, it helps to look at an actual example of a swap. So, I'm heading over to 1inch.exchange in order to do a swap. Given that this is a dApp on the Ethereum blockchain, it does require a Web 3.0 wallet of some sort. It also supports all of these wallets over here. I personally use MetaMask, so I've connected to that. Once you've authorized it to use the wallet in question, you can go about swapping tokens. Here is the main UI that has the swap feature. In this case, I'm going to be swapping some of that excess REN BTC that I have lying around for some Tether. Now, there are a lot of features here that you can add to your swap. You can make it a market or limit order. You can set your slippage tolerance, gas price, and limit the sources from where it's pulling liquidity. I'm going to leave it as default for now. Anywho, with these parameters, I'll be swapping my REN BTC for USDT. Below this, you will also see the fees that you're likely to be charged, as well as the rate that you get. You can actually further tweak this by either selecting to get the maximum return on the swap or the lowest gas fees. In this case, both are the same, as they'll be routing through the same pools. Before we do this swap, I want to bring your attention to all these routing parameters on the left here. These are pretty neat, as they show you not only where the order will be routed through, but also the savings that you're likely to get from using 1inch over other DEXs directly. In this case, it's been fully routed through Bancor as there is enough liquidity there, but if you were swapping it through lower liquidity tokens, then it may take multiple paths. So, if you're happy with all of these parameters, you can now unlock the token. There are two methods to unlock here. One is for you to unlock the same token every time that you want to do a trade, and the other is to only unlock once going forward, saves on gas fees. Now, the latter is a more risky option, so unless you're a seasoned DeFi diva, I would choose the simple unlock. So, let me just confirm this unlock of my REN BTC. Once that's done, I'm ready to execute the swap. I just confirm it and sign the transaction on my MetaMask, and it should be done. Now, as you'll have noticed, I had a positive price impact on this trade of about 1.43%, although the gas fees were really quite high. If this was a different token swap, I could have gotten less gas fees had I used the lower gas option, but in this case, they were the same. Okay, so that's the prime feature over at 1inch. However, as mentioned, they've also built a pretty ingenious AMM. This is the 1inch liquidity protocol. Let's take a quick look at that now, shall we? This was originally launched as Mooniswap, and it was 1inch's answer to the AMM protocols developed by the likes of Uniswap and Bancor, etc. Quite simply, these AMMs use what is called the constant product invariant equation. Now, if that sounds intimidating to you, don't worry. It's basically an equation that these AMMs use in order to price swaps in a pre-funded liquidity pool. It's been designed to adjust prices such that the product of the number of tokens in each pool is equal to a constant. I've linked to some additional resources below on the constant product concept if you want to read a bit more about it. Now, despite how revolutionary this is from an AMM perspective, there are some flaws with it. One of these is, of course, impermanent loss. This is the loss that liquidity providers suffer given that they have no control over the composition of the pool where they're supplying liquidity. There have been some DEX protocols that have attempted to address this issue of impermanent loss. They include the likes of Curve Finance and Bancor. Bancor's V2 AMM was particularly alluring as it used a novel approach of floating weights. Long story short, the main issue with that was that it needed external price feeds from off-chain oracles. These could be manipulated, which led to an issue of traders front-running orders at the expense of the liquidity providers. So, The 1inch team released their Mooniswap AMM in order to address these challenges. Now, the exact mechanics of how it works are beyond the scope of this video. I've linked to their blog post below on it, though. A simple explanation, though, is that it builds in a 5-minute time delay between updates of price feeds. It still uses the invariant algorithm, but applies it slowly in order to reduce the profits for the arbitrage traders. Mooniswap has been pretty damn effective since it was launched back in August. It was built as a simple swap interface that looks much like the one used by the likes of Uniswap. 1inch also bootstrapped liquidity for these pools through a number of liquidity mining incentives. Those who provided the liquidity would not only earn fees from the distribution, but they'd also be entitled to some of those juicy 1inch tokens when they were released. After testing out the algorithm assumptions for a few months, the 1inch team decided to release version 2, which was renamed the 1inch Liquidity Protocol. The only real technical change here was that there would be an impact fee. This would grow with price slippage to ensure that liquidity providers and, eventually, 1inch token stakers earn significantly more on volatility, further value for the ecosystem. Okay, so I've talked quite a bit about the main feature of the 1inch ecosystem. It's no doubt an impressive piece of kit, but I'm sure that you're no doubt interested in learning more about that all-important 1inch token. Am I right? On Christmas Day, DeFi Santa climbed down the Ethereum blockchain to gift some 1inch community members governance tokens. This followed a similar style to those of the Uni Airdrop in that 1inch released it to certain wallets that had interacted with the 1inch exchange. Those wallets that got the token would have had to have met at least one of the following criteria. They had done one trade before the 15th of September, or they had done 4 trades in total, or they had done trades of at least $20 in total. This was, therefore, more restrictive than the Uni airdrop, as the 1inch team did not want to distribute the token to anyone that was trying to game the system. It was well known that there would be a 1inch airdrop, and as such, a number of people created multiple wallets to try to capitalize on the windfall. Anyway, given that I'd used 1inch a few times earlier in the year, I was also eligible for the airdrop, and I claimed some of my 1inch tokens. It's actually pretty simple to do, and you'll get a pop-up letting you know that you're eligible when you visit the exchange with the wallet in question. Instructions are below, by the way, if you want more info. 6% of the total supply of 1.5 billion 1inch tokens were released like this, and there was quite a lot of excitement around it. They were quickly listed on Binance after their release and traded as high as $2 out of the gates. On the same day that they announced the release, they also opened up some additional liquidity pools for these 1inch tokens. If you've ever got involved in liquidity mining in DeFi before, then you'll know what this is all about. Basically, supply tokens to the pools in order to provide liquidity. Over here, you can see all the pools as well as some pretty impressive APYs, over 100% for some. And on top of the trading fees earned, 1inch will also be supplying additional tokens as an added incentive. They'll be distributing 0.5% of total supply through these pools, and it will last until the 9th of January. So, those who are not eligible for the airdrop still have the opportunity to earn tokens there, although I would only suggest this for more advanced users. Now, this all begs a very important question. Do 1inch tokens even have value? Well, in order to answer that, we have to dig into the tokenomics a bit more. So, without further ado. Firstly, as mentioned, there is a 1.5 billion total supply of 1inch tokens. These will be unlocked over a 4-year period to numerous stakeholders. These include 30% for community incentives, 14% for R&D, and the rest to the core backers, contributors, and advisors. Yeah, that's about 56% of the 1inch supply that will be distributed to these guys. Now, I must be honest that this is quite a large percentage to give to this group of stakeholders. For example, in the case of Wi-Fi, 100% went to the community. In the case of Barnbridge, 68% went to the community. Heck, even with Uniswap, which did a similar airdrop, it was 60% to the community. So yes, not ideal that so much is going to these larger initial whales, but it is what it is. On the plus side, it seems as if the token unlock schedule for these early investors and contributors occurs in later years. You can see that in this token unlock schedule over here. So, for at least a year, the majority of the tokens hitting the market are those that come from the community incentive buckets. These are gradual supply emission and hence are not likely to hammer the circulating supply that much. So, that's the supply side of the 1-inch token equation. Of course, as we know, price is impacted by a balance of supply and demand. So, let's take a look at the demand side of that equation. The first and most important point to illustrate here is that it is a governance token. This means, unlike a utility token, its value is derived from the voting rights that come with it. The more that users want to be able to shape governance decisions in the 1-inch ecosystem, the more they are likely to hold and accumulate 1-inch tokens. This is the same concept that's used for a number of other governance tokens in the DeFi space. However, 1-inch is unique in the sense that it's the only token that is launching with what they call instant governance. The main benefit of this over other governance tokens is that there are no barriers to entry. You don't have to meet a minimum threshold in order to participate. Right off the bat, you can vote on important proposals in the 1-inch DAO. They've also developed a DAO that they hope will be user-friendly enough for anyone to participate in. Here is what the governance dashboard looks like. Anyway, there are a number of things that the 1-inch stakers can vote on. These apply to parameters not only in the aggregation protocol, but also in the pool governance. These include the following: spread surplus in the aggregation protocol, swap fee for liquidity providers, price impact fee, decay period, governance reward, and the referral reward. You can read more about these parameters in the blog post. However, the main point that I want to get at here is that 1-inch token holders can vote on important parameters that add value in general to the protocol and all participants, including them. What do I mean by that? Well, if you want to vote on proposals, you have to stake your 1-inch tokens. You then earn staking rewards in the form of additional 1-inch tokens. But here's the kicker. The amount of staking returns is impacted by the amount of fees generated on the protocol. So, the more fees in general that the 1-inch protocol generates, the more returns are generated. In essence, 1-inch token stakers are in a unique position where they can take decisions for broader protocol governance that will impact on their bottom line. Now, do you see why governance tokens are so valuable? That's it for most of my overview, folks. It's time to round things off quickly. I will admit that the 1-inch exchange is a pretty impressive piece of kit. That aggregation protocol really does provide a seamless and efficient way to get the best rates on the market. A well-honed tool that makes DeFi conversions that much less of a pain. It's one of the main reasons why I started using it and will continue to do so going forward. I also do like the fact that they've actively tried to address the issues faced by current AMMs with their unique liquidity protocol. It's been tested and refined and seems to be working to the benefit of the liquidity providers. So, therefore, it's no surprise to me to see the growth 1-inch has garnered in 2020. Of course, the VCs saw that as well, and it's the reason they managed to secure all that funding last year. However, just because it's an amazing protocol does not mean that the token is a great investment. As we've seen, in the days that followed the initial release, it slumped back down. We saw similar moves in the price of Uni after its airdrop. The reason is that it takes time for the governance use cases to impact on the demand of the token. It takes time for the market to discover an appropriate price for this demand. As such, it's mostly just been driven by early speculation. Speculation that comes and goes with DeFi market sentiment. So I'm not too bullish in the short term. However, I will still be holding onto my 1-inch tokens and I will be staking them in some 1-inch pools. I have some free tether and currently the APY on the 1-inch USDT pool is pretty high. I may also partake in some governance decisions further down the line. It will be interesting to see how the protocol evolves from here. That's all, folks. I hope I managed to go the extra mile on 1-inch for you. Now, what say you fine people? Yay or nay? Any questions for yours truly? Use those comments below. And while you're peeking around there, you may want to check out my socials page. It's your one link to all the places you can follow me for all the content that you're missing here. So be sure to check it out. Also below is a link to my merch store where you can get your hands on this little number and a whole load of other designs. And finally, seeing that you've made it this far, I assume you find this video mildly useful? Well, let it be known. Thumbs up for the crypto guy. And don't forget to subscribe and ping that bell for good measure. My next video is sliding down the pipes as I speak. Oh, you guys still here? Well then, I may as well let you in on a little secret. What I covered in that video was only the tip of the iceberg. There's a whole lot more included in my weekly email newsletter. It's basically a compilation of all the interesting content that may have flown under your radar. News, reviews, analysis, as well as a breakdown of my personal portfolio. Want to join? Well, don't delay. Just scoot on over to the description where you'll find a link to my sign-up form. There, you can enter your email address. Hit submit, confirm your email, and hey presto, you are a Coin Bureau insider. My next newsletter is being worked on as we speak, one you won't want to miss. See you next time, folks.